What's up, everybody? This is Mindset Meets Muscle. This is episode 2. This episode is going to be about strengthening not just your body, but also your mindset.
Yeah, and we're keeping it real. No gimmicks, no shortcuts, just honest conversations about what it actually takes to get results.
The last episode, we touched on motivation, and obviously motivation is what gets people started in doing anything in life, not just fitness, but really anything. But motivation does fade, and a lot of people don't really know what to do when that happens, and that's really where discipline takes over. And that's kind of where we're going with this episode. We're going to talk about discipline and motivation and kind of explain to you the difference between the two of them and how to manage both of them.
Exactly. And to give you some context, over the past 9 months, Ox went from 278 to 238. And I've been on my journey since July 2024, dropping from 225 down to 180.
We've also worked together in building habits that are non-negotiable. So I get up early every single morning to go to the gym while Van works overnight shift, and he comes to the gym to meet me straight after work. So we're on 2 different schedules, but we hold each other accountable, and we always kind of make sure that we're both on our game. So
I get off at 7:30. I head straight to the gym. We train together. It's accountability in action. We don't let each other skip sessions. Just like yesterday, I was not wanting to go. I really wasn't feeling it. But for the sake of discipline and not wanting to hear Austin chew me out,
yep,
I showed up.
He already knows I would have.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're there. We're there.
It's not just about the workouts, though. It's about building a system where showing up is automatic. So no matter how tired or unmotivated you feel, that's where your discipline is going to kick in, and that's what's going to make you do what it is that you have to do. There's no, question or decision to make. This is what's going to happen, and I'm going to do it. Motivation is emotional. So it's the rush that you get when you feel like you can do something. For me, that moment was in April when I stepped on the scale. I saw 278 pounds. That was a wake-up call for me to get going and to stop slacking because I'm pushing 30. So there's really no time to waste on my health and fitness when I could just get up and get it going right now.
Same here. Back in July, I was 225, sluggish, unfit, and getting frustrated. We talked about in the last episode. I'd seen that photo myself. Didn't like it, and that's like, to touch base, that was the motivation. That was that spark, that emotional response of I hate this, but then getting up every single day and continuing to do that journey, that's that discipline.
Exactly. So motivation is what got me to the gym, but just like anybody else, there are days that getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, or in his case, working for 8.5 hours and getting off at 7:30 in the morning just to go and do a 2-hour workout. Motivation can only take you so far.
Coming off of overnight shift, I'm exhausted, but we still go to the gym. Discipline's what got us both there. Regardless of how we feel, we train because we say we would. We sit down, we plan out the week. If we're going to go 5 days a week, we know in advance. If we go 6, we always know in advance. It's just non-negotiables that we put into place before we start the week, because we got to know what we're going into. And like I said, it's a non-negotiable.
And it gives us no time to say, all right, this is not going to work for me. If we make a plan and we say this is what we're doing, then, at least for me, and I'm pretty sure for Van too, there's not a lot of wiggle room. We don't like to change plans. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine, not just with the gym, but like anything. If I make plans with a friend and that plan is set in stone, and then that day, that morning, an hour before the plan happens, they say, well, change of plans, I have to do this. That's an irritating thing to me. And I know that things happen, family emergencies, or you got kids, things that are prioritized over the gym. Obviously, you're going to do what you have to do. But when it's something like I'm too tired or I'm too sore, that accountability factor is a major, major thing in staying consistent in the gym or anything in life.
Yeah, habitually creatures of habit. Whether it's shit talk or a motivational quick message that we'll send one another, we're gonna influence each other to hit the gym. Like I said,
right.
I'm gonna say it probably 6 more times in the video, but it is non-negotiables when it comes to nutrition and hitting the gym steady.
Yep. And in the gym, motivation is what gets you your first membership, but discipline is what gets you through those early mornings, those rainy days, long work days, and leg days for some people.
Me.
So,
Me.
yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of leg day either, but we, no matter what, that discipline is what's going to get us through those days. And sometimes it's not even through those days. Sometimes it's just to get us to walk through the doors of the gym. I mean, it's not like we wake up 6 days a week thrilled to wake up, or him get off of work and go to the gym, except for chest day.
Whole day's fun too.
Yeah, yeah. Upper body's great. Upper body's great, but we don't skip leg day, and
no.
it's not. It's one of those non-negotiables. You have to train everything if you want to live to that fullest potential. That's what we're going for. We are not complacent. We don't want mediocrity. We want to literally maximize our potential, and we both know what we can do if we do that. So
call it cringe, call it whatever you want, but having like an accountability partner, or like someone that, like I said, accountability partners in the word, that keeps you accountable to what's going on. We're not robots. We're human. Like I said, it makes it easier to maintain the discipline. The gym becomes a place where, I have gone into the gym, I don't know, probably a good half the time, just I don't want to be here. I'm irritated and I'm not ready for it, but I promise you 9/10 out of the time I leave that gym in a better mood than I walked in. So, like I said, just remember you're not a robot. You're human. You're not gonna want to do something, but once you set those standards for yourself and you apply that, discipline means I don't care about your emotions at the time.
And it gets easier.
Absolutely.
Anyone that's watching this video that might be struggling to go to the gym for the first time, or get back to the gym after, a 2 to 6 month or even a year hiatus, trust me, I've been there. I've been doing the gym since I was 15 years old, and I have had so many times where I've been on for a year or 2 years, and then I stopped for 6 months. This most recent time, I hadn't gone to the gym for 2 years, and obviously I got to a really bad place physically, mentally, emotionally, and it does make it a lot harder to walk through those doors again. It's gym anxiety. It's a real thing, guys. Gym anxiety is a very real thing, especially not just for new people, but
Right.
if you've been before and you've been to a point in your fitness life where you felt great about yourself, and then you let yourself go and you get to a really low point in your life, it makes it really hard to go back, because all you can think about was the last time I was here, I was benching 225 and squatting 350, and now I can barely bench 150 pounds. Like, it makes it a lot harder, but
Right.
I promise you, if you just stay consistent, it will get easier. And not just, for gym anxiety, but, being sore. My wife just started going back to the gym, or going to the gym for the first time. She
Ever.
started going to the gym for the first time ever. And the first couple of days, she was telling me, like, I cannot believe how sore I am. I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I just preach and preach and preach that no matter what, it's going to get easier. Your body adapts.
I'm glad you said that. Hold on, because every time you fall off, and I feel like when you go back in, your progression's a little bit easier.
It is.
Muscle memory is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take the numbers completely out of it. I'm not really worried about what you're benching or whatever, but definitely you go in there and you have a certain expectation for yourself because you know what you're capable of. You've seen it before, and you go in there and there's mirrors everywhere, and you're constantly looking at yourself, and that's where that emotion comes into play, and you're like, oh man, I don't like what I see. Sometimes that gives you that fatigue of not even wanting to go back, but when you work past that threshold and you get to that point of where like you're starting to see the results and you're realizing the numbers are climbing again and your weight's going down, or whatever the goal might be, you see that you're making your way towards it. There's where the motivation kind of stems back into it, but that still requires a lot of discipline, especially in the beginning, because like he said, when you get there, you've been off for a minute, you go and you try to, like, I don't know, run for the first time and you haven't done it for a long time. Half mile in, you're gassed out. It sucks. But once you get past that gassed out feeling and you treat this like it's a regimen, it's an everyday thing, you start to realize that I've done this before. I'm going to do it again, but better this time.
Right.
Right.
And it feels really good too when, you go back after that hiatus, and then say 6 months or a year in, you're already at the point where you left off at 2 years ago. And now you're like, wow, I'm already here where I was before when I was at my peak.
Right.
Where can I go now? I mean, that's personally where I'm at right now is, I thought that 2 years ago or whenever it was that I had stopped going to the gym, I thought I was at the peak of my fitness career. Like I thought I was in top shape. I really believed that that was like my peak. And now I am well beyond where I was at that point. Just remember, always set small goals. Small goals are what's going to get you there. We'll talk about that in another episode. I'm sure we'll have an episode where we talk about goals and goal setting. But as a trainer in the past, I can tell you guys one thing that really makes a huge difference in all of this, and it's how you set your goals. If you set small goals to kind of chip away at over time, that big long-term end goal that you have is going to be 100% easier to maintain or to achieve.
I will say when we first started working out, we use an app. We'll get into it some other time, and it's how we kind of track everything we do, like to the T of things. And I was super stuck on a certain weight that I wanted to get, and I was jumping too fast and fatiguing myself out before I was actually like tearing down the muscles like I need to for that growth. On top of not eating near enough, another episode. But we started tracking it, and he, dialed it back a little bit, and like, hey, start here. Even if it's 2.5 pounds on each side, it's something. It's more weight than last week. And then we do that. You apply that, then last week, then last week, then last week. You do that 3 or 4 times. Each week you feel that satisfaction of hitting a goal. And then finally you realize at one point, holy shit, I've already surpassed the goal that I was so stuck on that I was almost mentally blocking myself from getting to because I was expecting results too quick and taking too big of jumps.
Keep it simple.
Right, yeah.
It doesn't always have to be, you don't have to jump 10 pounds a week. You don't have to do this weight on this exercise on this week, and then the next week you have to do 3 more reps. Like, be happy with simple growth. I mean, you see yourself do something for 1 extra rep the next week or 5 pounds total the next week, take that as a win. If you do the same exact thing that you did the last week, same reps, same weight, same exercise, everything is the same, but your form is just slightly better, that's a win. All right, so why does motivation always fade? The hard truth of it is motivation is not meant to last. So life gets busy and results slow down. So the scale isn't always going to move as quickly as you hoped. It's not going to continue to drop week after week after week after week all the way through. You're going to have plateaus. You're going to hit slumps. You're going to be tired. So around about a month, or probably about 2 to 3 months into my journey from starting back in April, I was tracking my weight weekly, and I would take a picture in the mirror, front and side, every week to go with whatever that weight was. In the first month, 2 months, it was progressively dropping every single week. And you could see a slight difference in, my build and my body over those weeks as the weight dropped. But once I got to about that 3rd month, I did hit a plateau. So, work stress, plateaued workouts, slow progress, it definitely makes it hard to rely on motivation, because once you see those results and the progress start to slow down, it makes you think, okay, well, I'll skip today, or one meal won't hurt.
I've had the same moments, especially with overnight stuff. Some days I'm like mentally exhausted. My brain starts negotiating with itself. I want to touch base on that. Your brain's programmed to protect itself, so you're tired, you want to get some sleep. I feel like training is pushing yourself past that limit to grow. That's kind of how that works. You got to break down the muscles, you got to break down the mind. Like I said, the brain starts negotiating with you, and then you start taking shortcuts. It's trying to convince you to skip.
And that's when discipline matters. So discipline is going to be that voice in your head that says, I might not feel like it, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to train, I'm going to eat well, and I'm going to keep moving forward regardless of how motivated I am, because you know that this is the plan that I made. This is what I decided I want to do, and I'm going to do it. No matter what the outside circumstances are, you're going to make sure you get that task done. One of the first changes I made when I went back to the gym, as far as getting my discipline right, was kind of lowering the bar. So you can't expect to go to the gym every day and have every workout be perfect. You just have to be consistent. Just walk through that door every day. If you go 5 days a week, 6 days a week, whatever it is, make that plan ahead of time. If you can, don't just plan to go. Plan out those days. Plan out what you're going to do, what exercises, how many reps, how many sets, how many pounds do you plan on doing? And if you're new and you haven't been there to the gym before, or you're going back after a while, obviously those are things you're going to have to kind of learn about yourself in the first couple weeks of going back. Okay, this is how much I should be lifting, for how many reps, and that's going to take some time to kind of figure yourself out. But once you got yourself in there and you've done these things for a couple weeks, you should really have an idea of what you should be doing. And if you plan it out ahead of time, it kind of makes it easier to stay consistent.
And I think consistency beats intensity every time. There were times where, I mean, we were in the gym for almost damn near 3 hours at a time. But once we started to fine tweak what we were doing and we were going in with templates, once we started following the templates and knew what we were going to do before we went in there, it was almost more of an efficiency beats us being in there too long, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So training smart, showing up and building a routine wins every time in the long run.
Yep, and that's where decision fatigue is becomes a thing. So same days, same exercises, same times, it gives you a lot less room for excuses. So before we actually started filming this, we were kind of chatting on this decision fatigue. Once you make a certain amount of decisions in a day or a week or a month, you get tired of it. It makes it a lot harder to make good decisions when you've made this many decisions in this span of time. And decision fatigue is a real thing. So in order to kind of eliminate that or reduce that within going to the gym and your diet, having that consistency and keeping that, same routine consistently is going to kind of help you manage that. It's going to happen. Everybody has a time in their life where they're going to have to deal with decision fatigue. But if you try to keep everything pretty simple and the same, it'll definitely help you kind of manage that. But at the same time, obviously that can make things boring. But when you do any exercise, pretty much anything that you can do inside of a gym or even in a home gym or just body weight workouts at home, there is variations for everything.
I was just about to hit that shit hard.
There is variations for everything, and Van knows better than anyone how I am about that.
So I'm gonna interrupt. Okay, he's talking consistency. We have the same templates almost every single day. We tweak it very little, up, overhand, underhand. Maybe we're pointing the toes in a different degree of an angle. Just that. I'm glad I said the degree of the angle. Just pointing your toes in a different angle when you're doing the leg press works different muscles. And that's something I didn't know until I started working out with Austin. So that's simplicity is simple, stupid. Okay, the simpler it can be, the easier it is for sure. It's just those little variations you can tweak that hit certain muscles. So
it just keeps things interesting. Going to the gym can get boring, even for someone like me. I personally love fitness. I love going to the gym. It's interesting to me. I like being kind of, and he'll agree with this, I love kind of being a scientist in the gym. I like
absolutely.
trying new things, even if it's something that I am trying on my own, something I've never read before or seen before. How does this angle make me feel rather than the way I've normally done it? There's a lot of different variations that are not crazy. If you look things up, there's different ways to do different exercises, to hit, and target different muscle groups, but also just keep it interesting, make it less boring and stagnant at the gym when you try things in a different way.
I do get to work out with someone every day that knows what they're talking about. So I'll see some shit on Instagram or whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm like, hey, look at this. What do you think?
Right.
We end up trying it or we don't end up trying it. But if you're in there and you feel yourself getting bored, the gym atmosphere is something that I have been able to experience on a level I didn't think it was what it is. Ask somebody. I mean, I know it sounds crazy. Fuck social anxiety. Go ask somebody.
Just to kind of end off this segment, we will be talking about, he mentioned the app that we use. I'm not going to kind of go into it now or talk about the name of it. We will definitely have a segment on that because that app has not only changed his fitness life, but mine as well. When I discovered this back in April, how we kind of track our workouts and kind of know not just what exercises what we're going to do, but like exactly the volume we should be doing, the reps, the sets, the weights. I mean, this app is amazing. And one of these next couple episodes, we'll definitely get into that because I really want to share that with y'all so that you can use that to your advantage. All right, so training is 2 hours a day. Eating, that's the other 22 hours a day. So managing both can be difficult.
Yeah, I definitely learned that the hard way. Relying on motivation to eat is a death trap. I can be perfect all week, stress out one day, or for work. Work is a super big example on
Especially
this.
for you working overnights. That's a
Oh my
hard
God!
diet. I've
And
been there.
when I was running overtime too, I definitely struggled. So I wouldn't go home. I would be at work, and they really only got.
And just to kind of give y'all some extra information on that, I'm not going to go into what we do for work yet, but when we work overtime there,
There's no leaving.
there's no leaving. We
Yeah.
don't get to leave. So if you pack whatever you're packing for your 8.5 hour shift, and you have to stay for another 8.5 hour shift, which again, by the way, overtime for us is not 2 hours till the next person shows up. If you work overtime, you work a whole extra 8 hour shift.
And it's not always optional.
No.
That stuff can be mandatory, especially
Mhm.
during times where people aren't there. And that's what I was touching base on. I mean, there are so many times where I would have to stay over, or of course I offered to stay over, and I'm telling myself, like, do I just not eat, or do I go eat something unhealthy? It's kind of like a rock and a hard place. Regardless, you're losing, but those days happen for sure.
hmm So for me, I simplified. I eat pretty much the same stuff. I get the same groceries every single week, week in and week out, to maintain that consistency. And just like working out, I'm not gonna say that it doesn't get boring, because it does. But that's where discipline comes into play. I know where I want to be. I know what I want to look like. I know how I want my body to feel. So I've been treating my body like a temple. So at the end of the day, I can deal with being a little bored of what I eat if I know that it's going to end up getting me to where I want to be. So that'll be another episode where we'll kind of go over dieting and what we each do for ourselves throughout a day and a week. But when it comes to eating, less thinking.
Yeah, eat
Less
like a dog,
thinking.
train like a dog.
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of it's not even, you can't even overcomplicate it. I mean, I have eaten the same thing so many times and so many days in a row where I've literally like had to stop eating it because it was like almost making me sick
hmm
to the thought of eating it. So I mean, I've definitely gotten better to the point to where I variate my food a bit. But like Austin said, I mean, you're gonna mess up. Don't let the mess up snowball into
Exactly.
a bigger mess up. I mean, you're gonna have
Exactly.
days. I mean, there were times where we were at the gym, and I mean, he'd come in and, hey, you know, I had a cheat meal last night and cheat meal the day before that, but still came to the gym.
Right.
Still, you know, still worked it. You know, and it's like, just like I said, do not let yourself fall off over one bad day. You get back on track with the next one. And that's really the whole like way we're trying to emphasize discipline. You know.
Yep. Discipline is not avoiding having a cheat meal, avoiding on a Saturday night with your friends over, ordering a pizza. Like that's not it, you eating a pizza is not getting rid of all discipline. It's all right. I have my pizza tonight. Tomorrow, I'm getting right back on track. It's not being perfect. It's knowing that, okay, I did this today. Let me get right back to where I was tomorrow. If you do it 2 days in a row, okay, that's fine. Get back to it the next day. You don't want to let it continue and, like he said, snowball and get worse and worse and worse, because that's what happens to a lot of people is, you fall off one night and then you're like, well, I fell off last night, so, I might as well just do it again today. And then you start splurging over and over and over again. And then you just kind of fall off and lose your way. Having one bad day or 2 bad days is not going to ruin, your whole routine. If you go on vacation with your friends and family and you go out to dinner, we all know how that goes.
You see me when I came back from that 2 week trip.
Mhm.
That was terrible.
You're gonna-
I ate the entire time. I didn't track anything. I told myself I would, but I'm going to touch base on quality of life here for just a second. We're not robots.
Exactly.
We're not perfect, and you're allowed to have fun. I went to a wedding in St. Louis for 2 weeks, and the first couple days, I wasn't even eating because everything that was there to be ate wasn't good for me. And I'm like, this is a waste of time. So I just ate whatever, and I definitely came back sluggish and heavier than I remember. But I'm back. I'm here where I'm at. Just remember, consistency beats all. You're gonna fall off. Just get back up.
So that's kind of where we, our training and our diet discipline reinforce each other. So when I had bad days, he reinforced me, and when he had bad days, I reinforced him, and that's kind of how he went from 225 to 180, and I went from 278 to 238. You can be the most disciplined, hardest working, most determined and motivated person on planet Earth. But if you don't have a good support system around you, whether it's just one person or your buddy you go to the gym with and your wife at home and your family encouraging you on Facebook, like if you don't have at least one person who is supporting what you're doing, it's going to make this monumentally harder. And I'm not going to say that you can't do it alone. I mean, I think I very rarely use the word can't. I think that anything can be done with the proper amount of work and discipline put into it. But if you have that support system, I promise you it's going to make it 100 times easier. So just remember that. Try to keep a good circle around you when you're trying to do something that is benefiting you. Remember that, you can be the most empathetic person and, really care about other people and do things for other people. There's nothing wrong with that, but don't forget about yourself. Make sure you surround yourself with people that support you and help you.
That's right. I can't stand the lone wolf mentality. I don't even understand where that quote came from. Wolves run in packs. All jokes aside, not even trying to be punny, a support system will change your life.
Exactly.
Sure. Absolutely.
So discipline isn't just going to the gym and eating good. It's recovery too. So sleep, rest days, and listening to your body. So, I mean, I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. There's going to be all kinds of people that watch this podcast. You might be 18 and going into college. You might be 45 and, at a midlife crisis.
Right, yeah.
The audience for this can be very broad, but no matter what you do, whether you're going out and going to college parties or you're coming home from work, going to the gym and then coming home, having dinner with your family, and then just kicking it on the couch and watching some football, make sure that you prioritize that sleep. Make sure that you prioritize proper rest days and listening to your body.
People underestimate recovery, but showing up rested and ready is part of the plan. Skipping rest isn't discipline, it's burnout.
We personally do one rest day a week, but we do it smart. So we do go 6 days a week, but we do, and we'll get into this again more in another episode with our routine. But just to kind of give you guys an idea, we do push, pull, legs. So we do push, we do legs, we do pull. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're right back to push, legs, pull. Then Sunday, we rest. One thing that I kind of learned over the past few months, as far as like workout routines, is that your muscles can handle getting work in twice a week. So when I do my push day and my chest exercises, whatever you want to call it, some people call it chest day, push day, whatever. Those muscles can be trained twice a week, and that's actually the most optimal way to get results when it comes to that. Now, what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve in the gym is going to dictate kind of the best routine for you. Our routine might not be good for you, might not be good for this person or that person. But just know that your muscles can be trained twice a week and not hurt yourself if you do it the right way with, your weight and reps and stuff like that. But at the same time, we do train hard and we train heavy. So deloading is going to be a major thing to help you. And this is another thing that I've kind of learned more about and actually tried for the first time in 2025. I think we deloaded 3 times last year. So deloading, really, just to kind of give you guys deloading in a nutshell, I'm not going to get too deep into it right now, but deloading is essentially doing your standard routine, whatever you do week by week, day by day, and doing the same exact exercises, but you're going for like a 50% volume cut and just trying to do like half the amount of weight, half the amount of reps. You're really not going to feel like you're working that hard as far as like muscle growth.
It's kind of like a light workout form check.
Really, yeah. It should be focused on form to make your form better, but at the same time, it's really just to give your body time to recover. And I'll tell you firsthand, it's boring. It's boring. We're typically pretty excited to go to the gym in the mornings. But I'll be honest with you, when we're on a deload week, I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Those are one of those days where we have to like check each other not to go heavy.
Right.
Because we get in there and when you deload, shit feels light. That's the whole point of it. It's a form thing. It's just making sure our body's still engaging these muscles, but not going heavy to give ourselves a break.
You just don't have that adrenaline,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think we're both pretty like, I think I'd call us both adrenaline junkies. We love to see, you know, some growth and some progress, and wow, I just lifted that type of feeling. But
that feeling's addicting.
It is. It is addicting.
That's kind of another thing that drives it too. There's always that what if moment when you're going in there and you're going super heavy that you might hit what you're going for. But when we deload, we know like there's no anticipation going into it. I'm not hitting what I want to hit today.
Right.
I'm just going in there and I'm just keeping myself active.
Yeah. Some people deload and honestly don't even go to the gym. They might just literally take a week off. I don't personally agree with that.
No.
I know that, you know, I do a lot of reading, and I know I've read a bunch of articles on people that have done that and have had success with it. Personally, though, I just don't agree with that. I think that you should make sure that you retain that muscle memory of like these different movements you're doing for all these exercises, even if you're not lifting heavy. And like he said, kind of a form check, you know, make sure that use that week as a way to kind of critique your form, make sure everything is as good as it can be.
I don't know. For me, it's a creature habit thing.
It is, yeah.
If I feel like if I took a whole week off, I wouldn't want to go back.
Yeah.
That's where you should, like I said, you're going to snowball into not going for a month.
And you can use it to your advantage too, where, you know, typically, like, especially for compound exercises like bench press, squat, and deadlift, when we go in there on a regular week, we're usually doing, you know, including all the warm-up sets, our work sets, and a drop set. Usually we're doing about 6 to 8 about 6 to 8 sets for all those exercises every day that we do them. When you're deloading, you can really do like 3, maybe 4 max sets on all these exercises, and it frees up all this time, which is why I've actually used deload week a lot of times to kind of play around a little bit and kind of see, all right, well, I've seen this machine in here for 6 months and I've never touched it. Let's try it and kind of see how it feels. And then it kind of gives you some open-minded moments where like, okay, well, when I come back from deload, let's try and see how this can, you know, feel incorporated into our workout. Also having more time to do more core at the end of your workout. So
it also adds like it keeps you excited. Like, I get excited for new variations. I mean, there are some times where I have done some shit that he has showed me where I feel like I look like a fool, but once you're done with it, once you start making that mind muscle connection, I mean, that shit gets addicting. So we just switched up one of our workouts. We did some iso pulls. And normally, you know, we're working them both at the same time, but when you do those iso pulls, you really just start to feel it. And that was just to give you an example of a variation which makes a workout more fun.
Right. And usually when we deload, I still try to deload a little bit with core. I think that core you can kind of stay consistent with how hard. Let me rephrase that. I think you can kind of maintain the same intensity with core on a weekly basis. Like I said, I'm still going to cut it back a little bit because a deload week should be full circle.
Core, but we're
right.
We're going to hit that core pretty hard.
Right.
For sure.
Just to get that extra core work in. You could do extra cardio if you want to. We'll go into more like cardio and core stuff in another episode and kind of how we go about that. But that deload week,
we don't do cardio. He's lying.
That deload week, no matter how boring it is, you know, if anyone watching is into that like powerlifting, you know, scheme, lifting heavy, you know, 6 to 8 reps type of deal, and you're really sore and you're really tired, I'm telling you, if you've never done it, do a deload week. Take a whole week, 50% all volume on everything. I promise you.
We definitely came back stronger every time.
Every single time. And every time, even after, I mean, the first time was like a real surprise. The second time,
anti-deload for sure, too.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it at all.
The first time we did it, it was a real surprise when we came back and to see how well we were lifting, how heavy we were lifting. The second time, it was even more surprising. The last time, it was like mind-blowing. I mean, like coming back, and I think for me I don't remember what exercise, maybe squats or something. lifting like 20 pounds heavier than when I went on my deload week for the same amount of reps and sets and everything, just because I gave my body that time to just like recover. Especially when you're working as hard as we are and having that level of intensity, having that deload week, I promise you, try it. Let us know how it worked for you. I promise you, you're not going to regret
There's
it.
some science behind it too. Your tendons and joints, et cetera, they all heal slower than what your muscle does.
Right.
So when you're beating the shit out of yourself on a daily basis, I feel like the deload week gives your entire body time to adjust to the weight that you've been moving, and then you come back in and everything feels stronger.
Right.
For sure.
Motivation brought you here, but discipline in training, diet, and recovery, and just showing up creates real change.
From 225 to 180 pounds.
And 278 to 238 for me.
All built from showing up consistently, day after day, even if one of us is groggy from an overnight shift.
So when motivation fades, because it will, remember,
You don't got to feel ready.
you just need to show up.
This is Mindset Meets Muscle.
Train your mind.
Train your body.
See you next episode. Peace.